Hey guys, what's up? What am I struggling with in this course? Everything! Alright, guys. So, there is another Certmaster estimated time to complete 18 hours. Whoa! You know what's funny, though, is like the Certmaster practice was supposed to be, I don't know, they were like, you're supposed to know everything before you try this out. And it seems like, oh, wait, hang on. Let's get started with a few questions. Continue. All right, compare and contrast different types of social engineering techniques. Question: if an attacker purchases a fake domain, has a similar name to a real domain, and then uses the fake domain to send legitimate company forged notices by email, which of the following attacks can the malicious attacker perform? Domain high. If I'm unsure, click once. If I'm sure, click twice. I am sure. You were sure and incorrect. Awesome. Great. Let's see what we got. All right. All right. A social engineer suspects the upper management department of a company is more vulnerable to ordinary phishing attacks than the normal IT. Since management staff is reluctant to learn basic security procedures, therefore the attacker crafted a campaign targeting these individuals. What type of attack did the social engineer perform? It's a whaling, I'm pretty sure. Congratulations. I just completed my first question correctly. Next question. All right, an attacker gathered personal information. Is this not working right now? What's going on here? What is this? So that's live. That's live. I'm sharing stuff. It says I'm live. Watch now. What is going on? Why does it say I'm offline? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to figure out technical difficulties right now. Okay, here we go. An attacker gathered personal information from an employee by using open source intelligence. Attacker then emailed the employee and used the employee's full name, job title, and phone number to convince the victim that the communication was legitimate. What type of scam did the attacker pull off? Phishing. What? Spear phishing? It probably was spear phishing. Oh well. A user contacted customer support via the company's WhatsApp link on a website. A few days later, the user received a lot of advertisements from outside of the country using the same messaging service. Which of the following best describes the type of attack the user experienced? Spin. Yes. Compare and contrast different types of social engineering techniques. An attacker gathered open source intelligence about a company through the internet, then contacted employees of the company and used the information gathered to extract more personally identifiable information. Which of the following describes the type of social engineering attack? Lunchtime attack? None of these sound right, though, for that. You were sure and incorrect. Next question. Where do most companies and employees post a large amount of information about themselves and their businesses, which can exploit the vulnerabilities of business? Social media, I'm sure. Look at that. Look at me go. 50-50. Ooh, that's bad. Using social engineering, an attacker called an employee to extract the name and contact information of the chief information security officer. What social engineering conception did the attacker utilize? Oh, they called them vishing. Here we go. An attacker remotely compromised a closed-circuit television server and used it to steal a user's password. Which of the following can help prevent this type of shoulder surfing? Hello? Oh, hello. All right. So, now let's go learn. Oh, it was typo squatting for the first one. If an attacker purchases a fake domain, has a similar name or of a real domain, and then uses the fake domain to send the legitimate company forged notices by email, which of the following attacks did the malicious user perform? It was typo squatting. I messed up. All right. What you need to know. Typo squatting relies on users navigating to misspelled domains. An attacker registers a domain name with a common misspelling of an existing domain. Users who misspell a URL in the web browser arrive at the attacker's website. Domain hijacking is a type of hijacking attack where the attacker steals the domain name by altering its registration information and then transferring the domain name to another entity. Brandjacking is another term for domain jacking. Kitting is the act of continually registering, deleting, and re-registering a name within the 5-day grace period without having to pay for it, or kiting. I think it was kiting. Tasting is a domain name server exploit that involves registering a domain temporarily to see how many hits it generates within the 5-day grace period. Okay. So it was spear phishing. Oops. An attacker gathered personal information from an employee by using open source intelligence. The attacker then emailed the employee and used the employee's full name, job title, and phone number to convince the victim that the communication was legitimate. What type of scam did the attacker pull off? Spear phishing. Spear phishing. Spear phishing refers to a phishing scam where the attacker has some information that makes an individual target more likely to be fooled by the attack. The attacker might know the details that help convince the target that the communication is genuine. Phishing is a type of email-based social engineering attack. The attacker sends an email from a supposedly reputable source. Sorry, guys. Such as a bank, to try to elicit private information from the victim. Phishing describes a phishing attack conducted through a voice channel, telephone, or voice over internet protocol, for instance. Smishing refers to fraudulent SMS texts. Other vectors could include instant messaging or social media sites. Next. It was a trust, really? Attacker gathered open source intelligence about a company through the internet, then contacted employees of the company and used the information gathered to extract more personally identifiable information. Which of the following describes this type of social engineering attack? It was trust. What you need to know: to be convincing or to establish trust usually depends on the attacker obtaining privileged information. An impersonation attack is much more effective if the attacker knows the information about the employee. Shoulder surfing refers to stealing a password or PIN or other secure information by watching the user type it, either in close proximity or remotely. If the user leaves a workstation unattended while logged on, an attacker can physically gain access to the system, often described as a lunchtime attack. Tailgating is a means of entering a secure area without authorization by following close behind the person that has been allowed to open the door or checkpoint. Let's see. So attacker remotely compromises a closed-circuit television server and used it to steal a user's password, which the following can help prevent this type of shoulder surfing. It was a privacy filter. An attacker can use closed-circuit television to directly observe a target remotely and steal their PIN or password. A privacy filter is a security control that allows only the user to see the screen contents, thus preventing shoulder surfing. A colocation is a data center that contains racks with networking equipment owned by different companies. An ID, identification badge, showing name and access details is one of the cornerstones of building security. Anyone moving through secure areas of a building should be wearing an ID badge. An access list held at each security gateway records who is allowed to enter. An electronic lock may be able to log access attempts, or a security guard can manually log movement. Keep going. Question. After social engineer used open source intelligence to gather information about the victim, the attacker then used this information to email the victim, then personalize the message to convince the victim to click a malicious link. What type of social engineering attack does this describe? Okay, so I would say that's spear phishing. Yay! An attacker corrupted the database of a domain name server in a small office. When users attempt to log into the company's homepage using a browser bookmark, they connect directly to the attacker's web portal. What type of attack has occurred? Okay. I think that's farming, actually, right there. Yeah, look at me go. I might have learned something in that class. An attacker remotely compromised a closed-circuit television server and used it to steal users' passwords from following. Can help prevent this type of shoulder surfing. We've already seen that. That's a privacy filter. We got our brain smashed in with that one. After performing reconnaissance on a victim, a social engineer spoofed the phone number of the doctor's office the target frequently visits. Posing as a receptionist, the attacker called the victim and requested the victim's social security number. What type of social engineering attack did the social engineer exercise? So that would be, I would say that's more along the lines of authority. Because they're saying that they represent the whoever's office, doctor's office. Yeah, so. All right, a malicious user compromised a company's email server and bought a domain that was similar to the domain name of the company's bank. The attacker monitored an email server and then altered the account numbers of legitimate payoff notices from the bank. The attacker then used a fake domain to send the company notices forged with the attacker's bank account number. The following attacks did the attacker execute? That's typo squatting. Look at that. All right, an attacker is trying to access a user's social media account. Select the actions the attacker may use to elicit the information from the user to gain access. Select all that apply. All right, so they're trying to access a user's social media account. So to elicit information from the user to gain access. I'd say use an internet messaging service to communicate with them. You were sure and incorrect. Okay, fine. Next question then. All right, that's weird. Which of the following situations describes identity fraud? Select all that apply. So you got to select all of them. Okay. No. All right. So using another person's name. Oh, sorry, guys. With some water. Using a stolen credit card. Those two would be under ID theft. Not so much those other two. And I'm going to say I am sure. You were sure and correct. Look at me go. Look at me go. Okay, an end user received a web pop-up that claimed to identify a virus infection on their computer. The pop-up offered a link to download a program to fix the problem. After clicking the link, the Security Operations Center, SOC, received an alert from the user downloaded a Trojan. Whoops! Which of the following is most likely true about the pop-up? The tool claiming to fix the problem was actually a hoax attack. I'm going to go with that one. You were sure and correct. It's time to go back and learn. So, an attacker is trying to access a user's social media account. Select the actions the attacker may use to elicit information from the user to gain access. Select all that apply. So, my choices was just this one, and these two are actually part of it as well. Okay, so pose as a sales representative needing help. Create an executable file that prompts for input. Attacker can use. Excuse me. Attacker can use an internet messaging service like WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger to communicate to a user in an informal way, such as posing as a friend to gather personal information. An attacker can create an executable file triggered by an event and prompt that user for a password that is supposedly required. An attacker can pose as a sales representative who asks for information in a legitimate manner but uses information for evil purposes. An attacker can use an invoice scam to produce a fake invoice that redirects the user's payment to the attacker's bank account. Keep going! Which of the following describes a social engineering technique an attacker can use if the attacker wanted the end user to click on a link as soon as possible? They could use urgency. You were sure and correct. Look at me go. After an attacker gathered open source intelligence from a social media site on an employee, the attacker called the employee and extracted important information regarding the company the employee works for. Which of the following did the social engineer successfully perform? I'm going to go with a trust and submit that. You were sure and correct. Next question. All right. A social engineer impersonating a suppliant rummaged through the garbage of a high-ranking loan officer, hoping to find discarded documentation and removable media contain personally identifiable information. Which of the following social engineering techniques did the attacker utilize? Dumpster diving. I am so sure. Come on, let's do this. Yeah, moving on. All right. A social engineer used phishing and polite behavior to persuade a target to visit a fake website with fake reviews. The attacker then persuaded the victim to enter personally identifiable information in a web form. Which of the following did the attacker use to make the site appear more legitimate? Familiarity, liking, and they tried to be authoritative. I was sure and incorrect. Which of the following best describes spam email? I would say unsolicited email. All right. A group of college students receives a phone call from someone claiming to be from a debt consolidation firm. The solicitor tried to convince the students that for a limited time, a rare offer will expire, which could erase their student loan debt if they provide their social security number and other personally identifiable information. Which of the following tactics did the caller use? I'm going to say scarcity and urgency on this one. Limited time offer. Yeah, just give them your social security number, call it a day. Oh, gosh. All right. A social engineer intercepted an end user's phone call to an internet service provider, ISP. Internet service provider. about a home internet outage. Pretending to be the caller reporting the outage, the attacker immediately contacted the internet service provider. He canceled the service call dressed up as an internet tech and then proceeded to enter the end user's home with permission. What type of social engineering attack did the internet service provider and end user fall victim to? Impersonation. Because he impersonated both sides, customer and the technician. If an attacker purchases a fake domain that has a similar name of a real domain and then uses the fake domain to send the legitimate company forged notices by email, which the following attacks did the malicious user perform? That is typo squatting. I am so sure now. You made it so I was so sure. Okay, so they also used urgency in this attack. Okay. So I was like familiarity liking. Oh, wait, no. Hang on. Those are my choices. And I need to do consensus, social proof, familiarity, liking. Okay. A social engineer uses phishing and polite behavior to persuade a target to visit a fake website with fake reviews. The attacker then persuaded the victim to enter personally identifiable information in a web form. Which of the following did the attacker use to make the site appear more legitimate? Select all apply. Familiarity, liking, consensus, social proof. What you need to know. With consensus social proof impersonation, an attacker fools users into believing that a malicious website is legitimate by posting fake reviews. The victims believe the reviews and place their trust in the website. One of the tools of social engineers is to be likable and to present the requests they make as completely reasonable. Many people find it difficult to refuse a request by someone they perceive as superior to them. Social engineers can try to exploit this behavior to intimidate their target by pretending to be someone of authority. Creating a false sense of urgency can disturb people's ordinary decision-making process. A social engineer can try to pressure his or her target by demanding a quick response. All right, guys, I am going to run to the restroom real quick. I will leave this up here so y'all can study it. I will be back. I'll be back. My neck. Probably should get some more water too. Some high quality H2O right there. That's some high quality H2O. All right. Oh, okay. Who's ready to rock and roll? All right, let's see what we got. An attacker remotely compromised a closed-circuit television server and used it to steal a user's password, which the following can help prevent this type of shoulder surfing. They want to really make sure I know this. It's a privacy filter. How would an attacker elicit information from a user to gain access to a social media account? Select all apply. So they could create an executable file that prompts for inputs. They can pose as a sales representative needing help. And they could use an internet messaging service to communicate. I am sure. No, you guys are beating it into me right now. An attacker gathered personal information from an employee by using open source intelligence. The attacker then emailed the employee and used the victim's full name, job title, phone number to convince the victim that the communication was legitimate. What type of scam did the attacker pull off? Spear phishing. All right. An attacker is attempting to gather information about a person by using text messages, which the following describes the attacker's phishing technique. It's called smishing, my friends. Smishing. Yes. All right. A social engineer uses phishing and polite behavior to persuade a target to visit a fake website with fake reviews. Seems like we've heard this before. The attacker then persuaded the victim to enter personally identifiable information, PII, in a web form. Which of the following did the attacker use to make the site appear more legitimate? So it was consensus, social proof, and polite behavior, familiarity, liking. I am sure. Look at me learn stuff. I feel like this site is better at teaching me more specifically what I'm answering wrong and then reinforcing the correct answer. So I do like this, the Certmaster Practice, a little bit better. However, I would say the Certmaster Learn is way more in depth. Feels like here they're just trying to like beat in general concepts so that like I understand what I'm doing. So an attacker gathered open source intelligence about a company through the internet, then contacted employees of the company and used the information gathered to extract more personally identifiable information. Which of the following describes this type of social engineering attack? It's trust. It's all about trust, guys. All right, which of the following social engineering techniques has less of a chance of arousing suspicion and getting caught? Familiarity, liking. You answered all those questions correctly. Great. What's next? Social engineering uses phishing and polite behavior to persuade a target to visit a fake website with fake reviews. The attacker then persuaded the victim to enter personally identifiable information in web form. Which of the following did the attacker use to make the site appear more legitimate? So they used consensus social proof with the fake reviews. They used familiarity and liking because they used polite behavior. I am now sure because you have asked me this question I don't know how many times. An attacker is trying to access a social media account. Select the actions that the attacker may use to elicit information from the user to gain access. So they could pose as a sales representative needing help. They could create an executable file that prompts for input. They could use an internet messaging service to communicate. Congratulations, you successfully mastered this module. Look at me go. So I screwed up, but I fixed myself on some of the stuff. Course report, what is this? Progress, you, all learners, 12%. Time spent, 28. All learners, 4 hours, 30 minutes. Starting knowledge, 71%, 41%. Okay. Okay. So I just go back to dashboard. Go here. Oh, I got to do this for each section? Oh, holy crap, dude. Well, I am definitely going to be practicing a lot of this then, guys. All right, so given a scenario, analyze potential indicators to determine the type of attack. An IT staff member used an administrator account to download and install a software application. After the user launched the .exe extension installer file, the user received pop-up ads, frequent crashes, slow computer performance, and strange services running when the staff member turns on the computer. What most likely happened to cause these issues? Oh, you installed adware, dude. No? That was adware. Well, I guess it could have been rogueware malware. Which of the following is a way to protect against birthday attacks? I don't know that one. Wow. A cybersecurity department received alerts about browser pop-ups on users' computers. After further investigation, the security analysts discovered that the websites they visited on the compromised machines redirect them to malicious websites due to modified domain name system queries, which of the following most likely infected the computers. I think that's an adware plugin. No? Spyware? I don't know. Attacker compromised a series of computers with a botnet and installed remote access Trojans on them. What else can the attacker now do with this type of malicious network? Select all apply. Yeah, they can launch a distributed denial of service attack. They can establish a connection with a command and control server. They can launch a mass mail spam attack. Look at that. You got one answer right so far. Woo! A script kiddie installed a backdoor on a victim's computer that enabled the attacker to remotely access the PC, upload files, and install software on it. What kind of malware did the script kiddie install? So that sounds like a Trojan. So I'm going to go with a remote access Trojan. Look at that. An attacker is planning to set up a backdoor that will infect a set of specific computers at an organization. To inflict a set of other intrusion attacks remotely, which of the following will support the attacker's plan? Computer bots, command and control. That. An attacker facilitated a man-in-the-middle attack by requesting that the server use a lower specification protocol with weaker ciphers and key links. What type of attack does this describe? We call that a downgrade attack. Boom. What can an attacker do to acquire a duplicate of another user's smart card? Skim it. You can also, I'm going to go with clone it. Yeah. All right, time to learn. So it's Trojan horse malware. My bad. An IT staff member used an administrator account to download and install a software application. After the user launched the .exe extension installer file, the user received pop-up ads, frequent crashes, slow computer performance, and strange services running. The staff member turns on the computer. What most likely happened to cause these issues? What you need to know. A Trojan is a malicious program hidden within an innocuous-seeming piece of software. Usually the Trojan tries to compromise the security of the target computer. Rogueware is a fake antivirus where a web pop-up claims To have detected viruses on the computer and prompts the user to initiate a full scan, which installs the attacker's Trojan. Adware is software that records information about a PC and its users, and usually displays pop-ups on commercial offers and deals. Crypto malware is a class of ransomware that attempts to encrypt data files. If the attack is successful, the user will be unable to access files without obtaining the private encryption key, which is held by the attacker. Okay, which of the following is a way to protect against birthday attacks? Encryption algorithms demonstrating collision avoidance. What you need to know: to protect against a birthday attack, encryption algorithms must demonstrate collision avoidance. That is, to reduce the chance that different inputs will produce the same output. Operating system hardening is the process of making the operating system configuration secure by enabling and allowing access to only necessary services, installing software to protect against malware and intrusions, and establishing a maintenance schedule to ensure the operating system patch is secure against software exploits. Implementing a captive portal requires login credentials, helps protect against unauthorized users accessing your Wi-Fi hotspot. Understanding the use of environmental controls helps provide suitable conditions for server equipment and protect against fire risks. Okay. A cybersecurity department received alerts about browser pop-ups on users' computers. After further investigation, the security analysts discovered that websites they visited on the compromised machines redirect them to malicious websites due to modified domain name system queries. Which of the following most likely infected the computer? It was spyware. Okay. One spyware technique is to spawn browser pop-up windows as well as modify DNS queries, attempting to direct the user to other websites, often of dubious provenance. Ransomware is a type of Trojan malware that tries to extort money from the victim. It will display threatening messages stating the computer will remain locked until the victim pays the ransom. An adware browser plugin displays commercial offers and deals. Some adware may exhibit spyware-like behavior by tracking the websites a user visits and displaying targeted ads, for instance. Crypto malware is a class of ransomware that attempts to encrypt data files. The user will be unable to access the files without obtaining the private encryption key, which is held by the attacker. Keep going. After you beat everything into me. Okay. So a hacker is using a password spraying attack to gain access to a remote computer connected to the company network. Which of the following attack characteristics describes the actions of the hacker in this case? Password spraying attack? That's just a dictionary of common words. Password spraying. Using multiple usernames and passwords. Look at me go. If a user's device becomes infected with crypto malware, which of the following is the best way to mitigate this compromise? Pay the ransom. That's just going to update the operating system after the infection. Have up-to-date backups of the encrypted files. Yeah. Move the infection from with antivirus. This one. Have up-to-date backups. Next question. Which of the following attacks do security professionals expose themselves to if they do not salt passwords with a random value? Well, a rainbow table attack, I think, would be what it is. Boom. An attacker installs Trojan malware that can execute remote backdoor commands, such as the ability to upload files and install software to a victim PC. What type of Trojan malware is this? Attacker installs Trojan malware that can execute. So that's a remote access Trojan, which is a rat, which we made in a lab a while ago. Back in my day. Oh, hey, there's my laptop. Kind of. It looks pretty close to my HP Envy. Let's see. A user purchased a laptop from a local computer shop. After powering on the laptop for the first time, the user noticed a few programs like Norton Antivirus asking for permission to install. How would an IT security specialist classify these programs? I mean, I would consider it a virus. Norton Antivirus is literally a virus. Ransomware? No. Trojans? No. I'm going to go with PUP. I don't remember what PUP stands for, though. Oh, potentially unwanted program. Potentially unwanted application now. It's PUA. All right. I was like, none of those make sense. So, process of elimination. There we go. Next. During an internal investigation, a security specialist discovered a malicious backdoor script on a system administrator's machine that executes if the admin's account becomes disabled. What type of malware did the specialist discover? A logic bomb? Boom. Next question. What type of attack is occurring when a counterfeit card reader is in use? It's I would say skimming or card cloning, but I'm going to run with skimming. Few end users contacted the cybersecurity department about browser pop-ups on their computer and explained that some websites they visit redirect them to other sites they did not intend to navigate. The security team confirmed the pop-ups and noted modified DNS domain name system queries that go to nefarious websites hosting malware. What most likely happened to the user's computers? An adware plugin infected the computers. Oh no, I got it wrong. All right, hang on. I'll be right back, guys. Here, remove the rest here. Oh, how are you doing? Alrighty, Roo. So spyware infected the computers. Okay. One spyware technique is to spawn browser pop-ups as well as modify DNS queries. So I'm looking for spawning browser pop-up windows and then modifying DNS queries, attempting to direct the user to other websites, often of dubious provenance. Ransomware is a type of Trojan malware that tries to extort money from the victim. It will display threatening messages stating the computer will remain locked until the victim pays the ransom. Adware browser plugin displays commercial offers and deals. Some adware may exhibit spyware-like behavior by tracking the websites a user visits and displaying targeted ads, for instance. See, adware browser plugins and spyware are just so similar. Mixing them up. Crypto malware is a class of ransomware that attempts to encrypt data files. The user will be unable to access the files without obtaining private encryption key, which is held by the attacker. By the way, guys, Raising Cane's is awesome. We just finally got one. And it's a big deal here in Utah. If you want to get some really good chicken fingers, yeah, Raising Cane's, man. Louisiana-based. Like, it's probably the only restaurant from Louisiana that I actually like. I mean, Popeyes is okay, but like, oh, those chicken fingers at Raising Cane's are just what piece de resistance. You know what I'm saying? All right. What type of brute force attack aims at exploiting collisions in hash functions? Okay, that's a birthday attack. What type of brute force attack aims at exploiting collisions in hash functions? Collisions in hash functions. Birthday attacks. A security operations center analyst investigates the propagation of a memory resident virus across the network and notices a rapid consumption of network bandwidth causing a denial of service. What type of virus is this? Rapid consumption of network bandwidth is a worm. You like to eat apples and bananas. All right. An ad user installed an application began receiving pop-up ads, frequent crashes, slow computer performance, and strange services running. Which of the following most likely describes what occurred to cause the problem? So I'm going with the installed Trojan horse malware on that one. Look at that. I've learned something. A cybersecurity department received alerts about browser pop-ups on users' computers. After further investigation, the security analysts discovered that websites they visit on the compromised machine redirect them to malicious websites due to modified domain name system queries, which the following most likely infected the computers. Spyware. An IT staff member used an administrator account to download and install a software application. After the user launched the .exe extension installer file, the user received pop-up ads, frequent crashes, slow computer performance, and strange services running. When the staff member turns on the computer, what most likely happened to cause these issues? The user installed Trojan horse malware. All right. An attacker. There we go. I was like, an attacker installed malware that removed Explorer, Task Manager, and PowerShell from a user's Windows computer. What type of malware did the attacker install on the victim's host? Rootkit? Boom. All right. Through Trojan malware infections, an attacker compromised multiple computers to form zombie agent PCs with tools to create a botnet, which is basically Skynet. Which of the following attacks can the hacker launch? You can do a distributed denial of service attack. A fileless malware can act like a worm. What behavior and techniques would differentiate a fileless malware and a normal virus? These are good questions. I'm going to go with these two. I was sure and incorrect. All right. So I missed one. Runs lightweight shellcode. Fileless malware can act like a worm. What behaviors and techniques would differentiate a fileless malware and a normal virus? Correct answer. Uses low observable characteristic attacks. It runs lightweight shellcode and uses live off the land techniques. That's what makes a fileless malware different from a normal virus. Fileless malware uses live off the land techniques rather than compiled executables to evade detection. This means that the malware code uses legitimate scripting tools like Windows PowerShell. Fileless malware uses lightweight shellcode to achieve a backdoor mechanism on the host. The shellcode is easy to recompile in an obfuscated form to evade detection by scanners. Fileless malware can be classified as using low observable characteristic attacks, which can make it less intrusive than other malware. Fileless malicious software malware does not write code to disk. The malware uses memory resident techniques to run in its own process. Keep going. All right. So we've got like one more question, pretty much. Yeah. A few end users contacted the cybersecurity department about browser pop-ups on their computer, explained that some websites they visit redirect them to other sites they did not intend to navigate. The security team confirmed the pop-ups and noted modified domain name system queries that go to nefarious websites hosting malware. What most likely happened to the user's computers? Spyware infected the computers. That. I'm fixing myself. A fileless malicious software can replicate between processes and memory on a local host or over the network shares. What other behaviors and techniques would classify a malware as fileless rather than a normal virus? Uses low observable characteristic attacks, uses live off the land techniques, runs lightweight shellcode. I am sure. Because you beat it into me. Which of the following is a way to protect against birthday attacks? Encryption algorithms that demonstrating collision avoidance. Next question. An attacker can exploit a weakness in a password protocol to calculate the hash of a password. Which of the following can the attacker match the hash to as a means to obtain the password? Yeah, rainbow table, dictionary word. An IT staff member used an administrator account to download and install a software application after the user launched the .exe extension installer file. The user received pop-up ads, frequent crashes, slow computer performance, and strange services running. When the staff member turns on the computer, what most likely happened to cause these issues? The user installed Trojan horse malware. Fileless malware can act like a worm. What behaviors and techniques would differentiate a fileless malware and a normal virus? So it runs lightweight shellcode, uses live off the land techniques, uses low observable characteristic attacks. Good job. Mastered the module. Cool beans. Course report. Dang, son. Estimated time to complete 16 hours and 30 minutes. All right, so given a scenario, analyze potential indicators associated with application attacks. Oh my gosh. Man. Stuff. Let's see. So today's the 18th. No, today's the 8th. I want to try and take it to 18th. 18 hours, 6 hours a day if I dedicated that. Let's see. If I got up at 9 every morning. Yeah, I don't think I'd come close to getting there where I need to be. So I think what I need to do. No. I can just postpone the test a little bit. All right. I gotta run to the restroom real quick. I'll be right back, guys. Oh my goodness, guys. Let's see where we're at. What are we doing? What are we doing? It's 13. No, it's not. That was a lie. So what I'm going to try and do is do this for another 25 minutes. And then once we finish this, move on to Certified Ethical Hacker. An attacker gained remote access to a user's computer by exploiting a vulnerability in a piece of software on the device. The attacker sent data that was too large for an area of memory that the application reserved to store expected data. What type of vulnerability did the attacker exploit? I want to say that's a buffer overflow. Look at that. What can happen if program developers do not use logic statement tests before trying to use the software? I would say a malicious process can alter the execution. These all sound like legit. Nope. Okay. Using an open connection to a small company's network, an attacker submitted arbitrary queries on port 389 to the domain controllers. The attacker initiated the query from a client computer. What type of injection attack did the attacker perform? Port 389? Is that SQL? I'm not too sure, but nope, I was wrong. It's probably LDAP? Maybe it was LDAP. An intruder monitors an admin's unsecure connection to a server and finds some required data like a cookie file. Cookies. That's why we got cookies here. That legitimately establishes a session with a web server. Knowing the admin's login credentials, what type of attack can the intruder perform with the cookie file? That was a cross-site request forgery attack because we did that in our lab actually a couple days ago. I don't know if you guys remember that. What? It wasn't? Click jacking? Was that what it was? Which of the following is a sign of a malicious or corrupted process and is particularly serious within service applications and in the operating system kernel? Malicious. I would say memory leak is pretty. Boom. Hooray, I got something right. By compromising a Windows XP application that ran on a Windows 10 machine, an attacker installed persistent malware on a victim computer with local administrator privileges. What should the attacker add to the registry along with its files added to the system folder to execute this malware? What should the attacker add to the registry? Persistent malware on a victim computer with local administrator. Put an integer in there? No? Okay. This is going to be a rough section. All right. Attacker submits a line of code in a text field of a website survey. When the web server processes the submission, the code is executed and the output enumerates password hashes from an internal database. What type of application exploit did the attacker most likely implement? Submit a line of code in a text field of a website survey. That's SQL. Well, hang on. That's command injection. No, it was SQL? No! All right. Application's code prevents the output of any type of information when an error occurs during request. The development team cited security reasons as to why they developed the application in this way. What sort of security issues does the team have concerns about in this case? Okay. All right. So what can happen if program developers do not use logic statement tests before trying to use the software? A malicious process can alter the execution environment to create a null point and crash the program. If the pointer is set to a null value by a malicious process, this creates a null pointer exception and the process will crash. Programmers can use logic statements to test that a pointer is not null before trying to use it. A memory leak is a vulnerability that occurs when software does not release allocated memory when it has finished using it, potentially leading to system instability. DLL injection is not a vulnerability, but of the way the operating system allows one process to attach to another and then force it to load a malicious link library. Race conditions occur when the outcome from execution processes depend on the order and timing of events fail to execute properly. Okay. It was LDAP injection. Using an open connection to a small company's network, an attacker submitted arbitrary queries on port 389 to the domain controllers. The attacker initiated the query from a client computer. What type of injection and attack did the attacker perform? What you need to know: a lightweight directory access protocol LDAP injection occurs when an attacker exploits a client's unauthenticated access to submit LDAP inquiries that could create or delete accounts, even change authorization and privileges. LDAP uses port 389. LDAP uses port 389. An extensible markup language injection attack occurs when the submitted XML data takes advantage of spoofing, request forgery, and injection of arbitrary code. The XML had no encryption or input validation checks. A structured query language injection occurs when the threat actor modifies basic structured query language functions to some input accepted by an app to run other malicious structured query language queries or parameters. A dynamic link library injection is a vulnerability that causes the operating system to allow one process to attach to another. It was a replay attack. Okay, an intruder monitors an admin's unsecure connection to a server and finds some required data, like a cookie file that legitimately establishes a session with a web server. Knowing the admin's logon credentials, what type of attack can the intruder perform with the cookie file? It can do a replay attack. What you need to know: in a replay attack, the attacker captures some data like a cookie file used to log on or start a session legitimately. The attacker resends the data to enable the connection. A client-side forgery request forgery, or cross-site request forgery is an attack that forces a user to execute unwanted actions to a web server that the user is currently authenticated to. And an application program interface intrusion occurs when an attacker takes advantage of unsecure communications with application services to perform denial of service attacks using multiple API calls. For example, click checking occurs when the attacker inserts an invisible layer into a trusted web page that can intercept or redirect input without the user realizing it. By compromising a Windows XP application that ran on a Windows 10 machine, an attacker installed persistent malware on a victim computer with local administrative privileges. What should the attacker add to the registry along with its files added to the system folder to execute this malware? It's a shim. A shim is a code library that intercepts and redirects calls to enable legacy mode on a system. A shim database represents a way that malware with local administrator privileges can run on reboot persistence. A pointer is a reference to an object in memory. Attempting to access that memory address is called dereferencing. An integer is a positive or negative whole number. An integer overflow attack causes the target software to calculate a value that exceeds the upper and lower bounds. A race condition is a software vulnerability that occurs when the execution processes are dependent on the timing of certain events, and those events fail to execute in the order and timing intended. It was SQL injection. Oh, I should have just gone with my first guess. That's rough. All right. So an attacker submits a line of code in a text field of a website survey. When the web server processes the submission, the code is executed and the output enumerates password hashes from an internal database. What type of application exploit did the attacker most likely implement? It is structured query language injection. A structured query language attack embeds or inserts structured query language code to a website to query and output information from a database, such as password hashes, for example. Directory traversal is an injection attack that submits a request for a file outside the web server's root directory by submitting a path to navigate to the parent directory. / access permissions on the file are the same as on the web server directory. A command injection attack runs operating service shell commands from the browser and allows a command to operate outside of the server's directory root, forcing commands to run as the web guest server user. Transitive access describes the problem of authorizing a request for a service that depends on an intermediate service. Okay, an application's code prevents the output of any type of information when an error occurs during a request. The development team cited security reasons as to why they developed the application in this way. What sort of security issues do the team have concerns about in this case? Database server configuration information. Error handling processes may not handle exceptions properly. For example, on a web application and might show an error page that reveals the type and configuration of a database server. This information could further an attack. Server-side request forgeries can causes the server application to process an arbitrary request, targets another service, either on the same host or another. Application programming interface intrusion occurs when an attacker takes advantage of unsecure communication with application services to perform denial of service attacks using multiple application programming interface calls, for example. Secure socket layer stripping is a man-in-the-middle attack using ARP poisoning that directs clients to an HTTPS site in an unsafe way when attempting an HTTP connection. All right, I'll be right back. Sorry, guys. Keep going. All right. A registry has a code library added to it to include its files to the system folder, which can intercept and redirect calls to enable legacy mode functionality. This is a way that malware with local administrator privileges can run on reboot. Which of the following represents this code library? It's a shim. Next question. What can happen if program developers do not use logic statement tests before trying to use the software? Okay. I'm going to go with a malicious process can alter the execution environment to create a null point and crash the system program. Whew. All right, attacker sent a victim an email with a link to a malicious website. The victim then clicked the link, which opened a malicious payload in the browser and changed the user's password to a legitimate website, legitimate site, is vulnerable to what type of attack? Cross-site request forgery. Boom. What method can malware evade antivirus software detection to the so that the software no longer identifies malware by its signature? DLL injection? No? Which of the following is an example of improper input handling? Which of the following is an improper input handling? Overflow and injection. Boom. After obtaining local administrator privileges on a machine, a hacker evaded antivirus detection using code refactoring and was then able to get the Windows machine to load a malicious binary package in memory. What type of attack is this? Wait, after obtaining local administrator privileges on a machine, a hacker evaded antivirus detection using code refactoring and was then able to get the Windows machine to load a malicious binary package in memory. I think that's a directory traversal. No? Okay. An attacker ran a modified uniform resource locator URL link to a website that eventually established connections to backend databases and exposed internal source configurations. The attacker did not hijack the user. To perform this action, this describes which of the following types of attacks. It's a client-side request forgery. No? Using a select list of uniform resource locator URL links to multiple parts of a website, an attacker was able to modify the uniform resource locator submission that exposed internal database configuration. The attacker did not need to establish an authenticated session. This describes which of the following types of attacks. Cross-site scripting? No? Wow. Okay. So refactoring. Through what method can malware evade antivirus software detection so that the software no longer identifies malware by its signature? Refactoring. Refactoring means the code performs the same function by using different methods. Refactoring means that the antivirus software may no longer identify the malware by its signature. Improper input handling exposes software to input validation attacks. When an attacker exploits improper input handling, it crashes the process hosting the code performs. Denial of service obtains elevated privileges or facilitates data exfiltration. DLL injection is not a vulnerability of an application, but of the way the operating system allows one process to attach to another and then forces it to load a malicious link library. Shimming is the process of developing and implementing additional code between an application and the operating system to enable functionality that would otherwise be unavailable. Okay, dynamic link library injection. So after obtaining local administrator privileges on a machine, a hacker evaded antivirus detection using code refactoring and was then able to get the Windows machine to load a malicious binary package in memory. What type of attack is this? Dynamic link library injection. Dynamic link library injection is a software vulnerability that can occur when a Windows-based application attempts to force another running application to load a dynamic link library in memory that could cause the victim application to experience instability or leak sensitive information. Structured query language injection is an attack that injects the database query into the input data directed at a server by accessing the client side of the application. Directory traversal is an application attack that allows access to commands, files, and directories that may or may not be connected to the web document root directory. XML injection is fundamentally the same thing, but targeted against web servers using XML applications rather than structured query language. Oh. Next, server-side request forgery. That was what it was. Okay, attacker ran a modified uniform resource locator link to a website that eventually established connections to a backend database and exposed internal service configurations. The attacker did not hijack the user to perform this action. This describes which of the following attacks. Server-side request forgery. A server-side request forgery abuses the functionality and services of backend servers to read and update internal source resources. This can expose, for example, database information, even without an authenticated session. client-side or cross-site request forgery is an attack that forces a user to execute unwanted actions to a web server that the user is currently authenticated to. A cross-site request forgery is a malicious script hosted on the attacker's site that can exploit a session started on another site in the same browser. This is successful if the server does not check if the user made the request. A resource exhaustion attack overloads resources like CPU time, memory, or disk capacity using distributed denial service requests. So server-side request forgery. Man, I'm getting those all mixed up. Using a list of uniform resource locator links to multiple parts of a website, an attacker was able to modify the URL submission, then expose internal database configurations. The attacker did not need to establish an authenticated session. This describes which of the following types of attacks. A server-side request forgery abuses the functionality and services of backend servers to read and update internal resources. This can expose, for example, database information even without an authenticated session. A client-side or cross-site request forgery is an attack that forces a user to execute unwanted actions to a web server that the user is currently authenticated to. A cross-site request forgery is a malicious script hosted on the attacker's site that can exploit a session started on another site in the same browser. This is successful if the server does not check if the user made the request. A resource exhaustion attack overloads resources like CPU time, memory, or disk capacity using distributed denial of service DDoS requests. All right, an attacker with system access can obtain keys from the system memory or page files and scratch disks if the system is susceptible to what type of vulnerability? Attacker submits a line of code in a text field of a website survey. When the web server processes the submission, the code is executed and the output enumerates password hashes from an internal database. What type of application exploit did the attacker most likely implement? SQL injection. After obtaining local administrator privileges on a machine, a hacker evaded antivirus detection using code refactoring and was then able to get the Windows machine to load a malicious binary package in memory. What type of attack is this? Dynamic link library injection. All right, what can happen if program developers do not use logic tests before trying to use software? Okay, a malicious process can alter the execution environment to create a null point and crash the program. Using a select list of uniform resource locator links to multiple parts of a website, an attacker was able to modify the URL submission that exposed internal database configurations. The attacker did not need to establish an authenticated session. This describes which of the following attacks. It's a server-side request forgery. Okay. An attacker escalated privileges to a local administrator and used code refactoring to evade antivirus detection. The attacker then allowed one process to attach to another and forced the operating system to load a malicious binary package. What did the attacker successfully perform? Dynamic link library injection. By compromising a Windows XP application that ran on a Windows 10 machine, and an attacker installed persistent malware on a victim computer with local administrator privileges. What should the attacker add to the registry along with its files added to the system folder to execute the malware? This malware. A shim. Which of the following conditions correlate with the process of a synchronized flood attack? Resource denial service No? That's odd. Okay. Privilege escalation. Okay, an attacker with system access can obtain keys from system memory or page files and scratch file disks if the system is susceptible to what type of vulnerability? Privilege escalation. An attacker with system access is able to obtain keys from system memory or page file scratch disks. Privilege escalation is the practice of exploiting flaws in an operating system or other application to gain a greater level of access than intended for the use or application. A structured query language injection attack inserts an structured query language query as part of user input, which allows an attacker to extract or insert information into the database or execute arbitrary code. Directory traversal occurs when the attacker gets access to a file outside the web server's root directory. Transitive access describes the problem of authorizing a request for a service that depends on an immediate service. Oh, amplification. I forgot amplification. Which of the following conditions correlate with the process of a synchronized flood attack? Resource exhaustion, amplification, and denial of service. What you need to know. SYN attacks cause resource exhaustion on the host's processing requests, consuming CPU cycles and memory. This delays the process of legitimate traffic and could potentially crash the host system completely. A DOS attack, denial of service attack, causes a service at a given host to fail or to become unavailable to legitimate users. Denial of service attacks focus on overloading a service by using up CPU, system RAM, disk space, or network bandwidth. Resource exhaustion. A more powerful TCP SYN flood attack is a DRDOS, denial of service, or amplification attack, where the adversary spoofs the victim's IP address and attempts to open connections with multiple servers. Packet filtering is a layer 3 firewall technology that compares packet headers against ACLs to determine which network traffic to accept. All right, an attacker discovered an input validation vulnerability on a website, crafted a URL that performed code injection against it, and then emailed the link to the victim. Once the user clicked the link to the website, returned the page containing malicious code. What type of attack does this describe? So they crafted a URL. No command injection on that one. No? Okay. During a SYN synchronized flood attack, which the following can occur, that would pose a problem to the exploited device. So they get amplification, denial of service, and resource exhaustion, I am sure. Beat that into me. Using a list of uniform resource locator links to multiple parts of a website, an attacker is able to modify the URL submission that exposed internal database configurations. The attacker did not need to establish an authenticated session. This describes which of the following attacks. Server-side request forgery. After obtaining local administrator privileges on a machine, a hacker evaded antivirus detection using code refactoring and was unable to get the Windows machine to load a malicious binary package in memory. What type of attack is this? Dynamic link library injection. Next question. Which of the following is a system susceptible to if a user with system access can obtain keys from the system memory or page files and scratch disks? Privilege escalation. Which of the following attacks can use of once only tokens and timestamp sessions help prevent? Oh, okay. Attacker was not able to submit a query on port 389 to a domain controller using an open connection on a switch. Domain controllers did not trust the connection from the attacker's laptop. The company's security prevented which type of application injection attack? LDAP, because LDAP is port 389. Intruder monitors an admin's insecure connection to a server and finds some required data, like a cookie file, that legitimately establishes a session with a web server. Knowing the admin's logon credentials, what type of attack can the intruder perform with the cookie file? Replay attack. Cross-site scripting. Doggone it. An attacker discovered an input validation vulnerability on a website, crafted a URL that performed code injection against it, and then emailed the link to the victim. Once the user clicked the link, the website returned the page containing the malicious code. What type of attack does this describe? Cross-site scripting. Cross-site scripting is a malicious script hosted on the attacker's site or coded in a link injected onto a trusted site designed to compromise clients browsing the trusted site. Cross-site request forgery is a malicious script hosted on the attacker's site that can exploit a session started on another site in the same browser. And SQL, structured query language injection attack, inserts a structured query language query as part of a user input, which allows an attacker to extract or insert information into the database or execute arbitrary code. A command injection attack runs operating system shell commands from the browser, allows commands to operate outside of the server's directory root, allowing commands to run as the web guest server user. All right, so it's pass the hash and a replay attack. Which of the following attacks can the use of once-only tokens and timestamping sessions help prevent? A replay attack, a pass the hash attack. Pass the hash occurs when the attacker steals hash credentials and uses them to authenticate to the network. Using once-only session tokens or timestamping sessions prevents this type of attack. A replay attack consists of intercepting a key or password hash, then reusing it to gain access to a resource. Using once-only session tokens or timestamping sessions prevents this type of attack. A birthday attack is a type of brute force attack aimed at exploiting collisions in hash functions. This type of attack can forge a digital signature. A downgrade attack facilitates a man-in-the-middle attack by requesting that the server uses a lower specification protocol with weaker ciphers and key links. An attacker submits a line of code in a text field on a website survey. When the web server processes the submission, the code is executed and the output enumerates password hashes from an internal database. What type of application exploit did the attacker most likely implement? S. Structured query language injection. Developers found a time of check to time of use vulnerability in their application. The vulnerability made it possible to change temporary data created within the app before the app uses the data later. The vulnerability is taking advantage of what process in the application? That's race condition. Through what method can malware evade antivirus software detection so that the software no longer identifies the malware by its signature? Refactoring. Intruder monitors an admin's unsecure connection to a server and finds some required data like a cookie file that legitimately establishes a session with web server. Knowing the admin's logon credentials, what type of attack can the intruder perform with the cookie file? A replay attack. Next question. An attacker ran a modified uniform resource locator link to a website that eventually established connections to backend databases and exposed internal service configurations. The attacker did not hijack a user to perform this action. This describes which of the following types of attacks? Server-side request forgery. An application's code prevents the output of any type of information when an error occurs during a request. The development team cited security reasons as to why they developed the application in this way. What sort of security issues did the team have concerns about in this case? Prevents an output of any type of information when an error request. Which of the following conditions correlate with the process of a synchronized flood attack? Select all apply. Resource exhaustion, amplification, denial of service. Next question. The latest web application using default settings is currently accepting application program interface calls over hypertext transfer protocol. The environment has a moderate key management system. Even with basic server security, the application programming interface connection is vulnerable to which of the following? Select all apply. Improper error handling and key discovery. Okay. The latest web application using default settings is currently accepting application programming interface calls over hypertext transfer protocol. The environment has a moderate key management system. Even with basic server security, the API connection is vulnerable to which of the following? Improper handling and key discovery. What you need to know. Application program interface calls use keys made up of alphanumeric characters to authorize requests to the web application. These keys are exposed over an unsecure connection such as HTTP, which is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. An attacker can use the key to perform other application programming interface calls. Default application settings may expose more information than necessary when errors occur. Exposing such information over an Hypertext Transfer Protocol HTTP connection may provide insight on the environment to the attacker. Denial of service can occur when the application is bombarded with spurious calls. Reconfiguring default web settings to throttle or limit calls can prevent this. Shimming is when an attacker uses a code library or a database to intercept and redirect calls to enable legacy mode functionality on a system in order to misuse. An attacker with system access can obtain keys from system memory files or page files and scratch disks if the system is susceptible to what type of vulnerability? Privilege escalation. Next. Using an open connection to a small company's network, an attacker submitted arbitrary queries on port 389 to the domain controllers. The attacker initiated the query from a client computer. What type of injection did the attacker perform? That's an LDAP injection because it's port 389. The latest web application using default settings is currently accepting application programming interface calls over hypertext transfer protocol. The environment has a moderate key management system. Even with basic server security, the application programming interface connection is vulnerable to which of the following? Key discovery and improper error handling. I am sure now. Next. Security engineer implemented once only tokens and timestamping sessions. What type of attacks can this type of security prevent? Pass the hash and a replay attack. Attacker ran a modified uniform resource locator link to a website that eventually established connections to backend databases and exposed internal service configurations. The attacker did not hijack a user to perform this attack. This describes which of the following attacks: server-side request forgery. Next question. An application's code prevents the output of any type of information. When an error occurs during a request, the development team cited security reasons as to why they developed the application in this way. What sort of security issues did the team have concerns about in this case? Database server configuration information. An attacker hosted an exploit script on a malicious website and injected it into a trusted website. The attacker then sent the link to the victim and used open source information gathering and social engineering tactics, such as spear phishing, to convince the victim to click the link, which compromised the user browsing to the site. Which of the following best describes this type of attack? Hosted an exploit script, malicious code. Command injection? Nope. Wrong. Through what method can malware evade antivirus software detection so that the software no longer identifies the malware by its signature? Through what method can malware evade antivirus? It's refactoring. Okay, it was cross-site scripting. Okay, I need to use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back, guys. Oh my gosh. So addictive. All right, an attacker hosted an exploit script on a malicious website and injected it into a trusted website. The attacker then sent the link to the victim and used open source information gathering and social engineering tactics, such as spear phishing, to convince the victim to click the link, which compromised the user browsing to the site. Which of the following best describes this type of attack? Cross-site scripting. Cross-site scripting is a malicious script hosted on the attacker's site or coded in a link injected onto a trusted site designed to compromise clients browsing the trusted site. Cross-site request forgery is a malicious script hosted on the attacker's site that can exploit a session started on another site in the same browser. A structured query language injection attack inserts a structured query language query as part of user input, which allows an attacker to extract or insert information into the database or execute arbitrary code. Command injection attack runs operating system shell commands from the browser and allows commands to operate outside of the server's directory root, allowing commands to run as the web guest user. Oh. Let's keep beating my head over this stuff. Okay, which of the following attacks can use the once-only tokens and time-saving sessions help prevent? Replay attack and a pass-the-hash attack, I am sure. Latest web application using default settings is currently accepting the application Programming interface, API calls over Hypertext Transfer Protocol, HTTP. The environment has a moderate key management system. Even with basic server security, the application programming interface connection is vulnerable to which of the following? Select all or apply. Key discovery, improper error handling. All right, an attacker discovered an input validation vulnerability on a website, crafted a URL that performed code injection against it, and then emailed the link to the victim. Once the user clicked the link, the website turned the page containing the malicious code. What type of attack does this describe? Cross-site scripting. Keep going. Attacker hosted an exploit script on a malicious website, injected it into a trusted website. The attacker then sent the link to the victim, used open source information gathering and social engineering tactics, such as spear phishing, to convince the victim to click the link, which compromised the user browsing to the site. Which of the following best describes this attack? Cross-site scripting. Yes. Master the module. That was rough, though. That was really rough. So, progress, 9%. All learners, 12%. That's course average. Starting knowledge is at 60%, and it dropped. Yeah, that was a rough section. Spent almost an hour on that section. Holy cow. Okay. 15 hours, 30 minutes. Estimated time to completion. Dang, son. There's a practice test. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. It's so much. It's so much. How am I supposed to know all these? All right, so that's 1.8, 2.8, 3.9, 4.5. That one's short. At least 5.5. That one's short too. All right. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm falling a little bit behind right now. I'm going to switch over. Is working. Right. Sorry about that, guys. So I have some issues. It cut out on me. Let's see. So we were doing structured query language injections yesterday, and we got to the point where we were trying to identify them. Where did I put that? There it is. Haha. So Lab 2, detect structured query language injection vulnerabilities using various structured query language injection detection tools. Lab scenario. By now you'll be familiar with various types of structured query language injection attacks and their possible impact. To recap, the different kinds of structured query language injection attacks include authentication bypass, information disclosure, compromised data integrity, compromised availability of data, and remote code execution, which allows identity spoofing, damage to existing data, and the execution of system-level commands to cause a denial of service from the application. As an ethical hacker or pen tester, you need to test your organization's web applications and services against structured query language injection and other vulnerabilities using various approaches and multiple techniques to ensure that your assessment and the applications and services themselves are robust. In the Provision Lab, you learned how to use structured query language injection attacks on the Microsoft Structured Query Language server database to test for website vulnerabilities. In this lab, you'll learn how to test for structured query language injection vulnerabilities using various other structured query language injection detection tools. So detect structured query language injection vulnerabilities using DSSS and detect structured query language injection vulnerabilities using OWASP ZAP. Overview of structured query language injection detection tools. Structured query language injection detection tools help to discover structured query language injection attacks by monitoring hypertext transfer protocol traffic, I think. Structured query language injection attack vectors and determining if a web application or database code contains structured query language injection vulnerabilities. 2. Defend against structured query language injection. Developers must take proper care in configuring and developing their applications. In order to make them robust and secure, developers should use best practices and countermeasures to prevent their applications from becoming vulnerable to structured query language injection attacks. So, detect structured query language injection vulnerabilities using the damn small SQLI scanner is a fully functional structured query language injection vulnerability scanner that supports get and post parameters, DSSS, or damn small structured query language injection scanner. Scans web applications for various structured query language injection vulnerabilities. Here we'll use damn small structured query language injector scanner to detect structured query language injection vulnerabilities in a web application. We'll scan movie scope that is hosted on Windows Server 2019. All right, they want us to go here. Let me see if I can exit this. Yes. All right, I'm at roots. You want me to go to cd dss. All right, it's already downloaded. Terminal window, we're going to type Python 3 dss.py. Okay. Now minimize the terminal. Click on Firefox. Okay, Sam test login. If would you like Firefox to save this login? Don't save. Once you're logged into the website, click the View Profile tab from the menu bar, and when the page is loaded, make a note of the URL in the address bar. browser, right-click anywhere on the web page, inspect element, click the console tab. Oh. Documents. Cookie. Select the cookie value. Copy it. Minimize web browser. Switch to terminal window. Type. Cookie. Okay, paste our cookie in there. And we hit enter. Whoa. Possible vulnerabilities found. In this command, the attack U specifies the target URL, and --cookie specifies the HTTP cookie header value. Above command causes DSSS to scan the target website first. Structured query language injection vulnerabilities. The result appears showing that the target website, moviescope.com, is vulnerable to blind structured query language injection attacks. The vulnerable link is also displayed as shown in the screenshot. Highlight the vulnerability website link. Right. Right click, copy. You will observe that information regarding available user accounts appears under the View Profile tab. I got Sam's profile. Scroll down to the view the user account information for all users. Oh, hey, it's not just Sam. It's everyone. Nice. In real life, attackers use blind structured query language injection to access or destroy sensitive data. Attackers can steal data by asking a series of true or false questions through structured query language statements. The results of the injection are not visible to the attacker. This type of attack can become time-intensive because the database must generate a new statement for each newly recovered bit. This concludes the demonstration of how to detect structured query language injection vulnerabilities using DSS. Close all open windows and document all the required information. Task 2, detect structured query language injection vulnerabilities using OWASP ZAP. OWASP Z attack proxy, ZAP is an integrated penetration testing tool for finding vulnerabilities in web applications. It offers automated scanners and a set of tools that allow you to find security vulnerabilities manually. It is designed to be used by people with a wide range of security experience, and as such, is ideal for developers and functional testers who are new to penetration testing. In this task, we will use OWASP ZAP to test a web application for structured query language injection vulnerabilities. We'll scan the moviescope.com website. Okay, switch to the server. We're already inside here. Let's see. Already installed OWASP ZAP on the Windows Server 2019 machine. All right, let's see if it's still on here, though. Is it still on here? Hey, I still got it. Okay. So we double-click the OWASP ZAP shortcut to launch the application. No, I do not want to persist the session at the moment in time. Hit the start button. If it manage and close it, the OWASP ZAP main window appears under the Quick Start tab. Click the Automated Scan option. All right, so the URL to attack is going to be moviescope.com. Attack button. OWASP ZAP starts performing active scan on the target website as shown in the screenshot. After the scan completes, alerts tab appears as shown in the screenshots. Oh, we've already got alerts. Okay, yeah. The discovered vulnerabilities might differ in your lab environment. Now expand the SQL injection vulnerability. Expand. Let's see. Click on the discovered SQL injection vulnerability and further click on the vulnerable URL. You can observe the information such as risk, confidence, parameter, attack, regarding the discovered structured query language injection vulnerability in the lower right bottom as shown in the screenshot. The risks associated with the vulnerability are categorized according to the severity of risk as low, medium, high, and informational alerts. Each level of risk is represented by a different flag color. Red flag, high risk. Orange flag, medium. Yellow flag, low. Blue flag provides details about information disclosure vulnerabilities. This concludes the demonstration of how to detect structured query language injection vulnerabilities using OWASP ZAP. Close all windows and documents. Okay, cool. These all selected. Yeah. So we went through that. Stays selected. So I don't understand why it acts up. All right, we're just going to hit end. Yes, end the lab. Close the window. Let's go to my training. Certified ethical hacker. And did it work? Doesn't like it when I save it. All right, let me just try and do this again. Oh, you guys got to stretch. It's important to stretch, guys. You gotta stretch it out. You want to get up with me? Stretch it out. Do that, because you need stretching. I'm gonna be right back for water. All right. Let's see what we got going on. All right. So I already did all this, but for some reason it's saying that I didn't, even though it saved it. It's the most annoying aspect of this. It's like, dude, I did all this stuff. All right. Click and yes, close, refresh. Now it's done for some reason. All right. So we're going into hacking wireless networks next. Back in the day, super easy because people weren't securing their wireless networks with passwords. Now we have much more complicated algorithms and means of password encryption. We're up to WPA3 now, like they're just pushing that out. WPA3 is supposedly more difficult to crack. Nobody's cracked it yet, from what I've heard. WPA2 is considered crackable, but it is still considered good. And usually what you can do is you can find that information over here in your wireless network. To take into account some things that are super important is you can have people jam your wireless communication, and usually right now that's mostly been mitigated because back in the day it used to be 2.4 gigahertz, and even a microwave could interfere with that signal back in the day if it was right next to the router. For some reason, someone decided to put their microwave right next to their router. Don't know what else there is going on for that part. I don't know what else you're going to want to go over. Oh, my back. There we go. Wireless networking. So, hacking wireless networks. Wireless networking is revolutionizing the way people work and play. Wireless Local Area Network, WLAN, is an unbounded data communication system based on the IEEE 802.11 standard. That is super important to remember for wireless, is that standard, which uses radio frequency technology to communicate with devices and obtain data. This network frees the user from complicated and multiple wired connections. Don't you just hate those pesky little wires? All right. With the need for a physical connection or cable removed, individuals are able to use networks in new ways, and data has become ever more portable and accessible. Although wireless networking technology is becoming increasingly popular because of its convenience, it has many security issues. People can establish rogue access points. So basically, somebody can make up a fake. Well, it's not fake. You'll still get to use the internet, but it's basically somebody's own point where they can say like, "Oh, I'm this internet," and you click on it and you use it, and they get information from you. I'm sure they'll go over it in this section. Although wireless networking technology is becoming increasingly popular because of its convenience, it has many security issues, some of which do not exist in wired networks. By nature, wirelessly transferred data packets are airborne and available to anyone with the ability to intercept and decode them. For example, several reports have demonstrated the weakness in the wired equivalent privacy WEP security algorithm specified in the 802.11x standard, which is designed to encrypt wireless data. As an ethical hacker or a penetration tester, hereafter, pen tester, you must have sound knowledge of wireless concepts, wireless encryption, and related threats in order to protect your company's wireless network from unauthorized access and attacks. You should determine critical sources, risks, or vulnerabilities associated with your organization's wireless network, and then check whether the current security system is able to protect the network against all possible attacks. The objective of the lab is to protect the target wireless network from unauthorized access. To do so, you'll perform various tasks that include, but are not limited to, Wi-Fi packet analysis, crack WEP and WPA2 Wi-Fi networks, overview of wireless networks. You notice how there's no WPA3, it's because it's so new. Even this course, which has been updated, didn't have it in here. So Overview of wireless networking. In wireless networks, communication takes place through radio wave transmission, which usually takes place at the physical layer of the network structure. Thanks to the wireless communication revolution, fundamental changes to data networking and telecommunication are taking place. This means that you need to know and understand several types of wireless networks. These include extension to wired network. Oh my gosh, that was terrifying. That hurt so bad on my knee. Oh, my shin. Actually, it's my shin. Yeah, it's definitely more my shin. Oh, I'm alive, guys, but barely. Oh, yeah, that hurt. All right. Extension to a wired network. A wired network is extended by the introduction of access points between the wired network and wireless devices. Multiple access points. Multiple access points connect computers wirelessly. LAN-to-LAN wireless network. All hardware APs have the ability to interconnect with other hardware access points. All hardware access points have the ability to interconnect with other hardware access points. So they do an acronym for the first one and then they write it out. Okay, 3G, 4G hotspot. A mobile device. See, this doesn't even have 5G in here yet. That's how kind of behind they are on this. 3G, 4G hotspot. A mobile device shares its cellular data wirelessly with Wi-Fi enabled devices such as MP3 players, notebooks, tablets, cameras, PDAs, and netbooks. Voltage power. Oh man, it's so tough to switch the transition. I don't know. I keep getting as far as jobs, everybody wants me to be a field service engineer. Yeah, I'm gonna say no. Yeah, that's the problem. I've got way too much experience as a field service engineer, and they're trying to come at me with field service engineer stuff. All right. Let's see. All right. Lab tasks. Ethical hackers or pen testers use numerous tools and techniques to hack target wireless networks. The recommended labs that will assist you in learning various wireless network hacking techniques include perform wireless traffic analysis, Wi-Fi packet analysis using Wireshark, perform wireless attacks, crack a WEP network using AirCrack Tech NG, crack a WPA2 network using AirCrack Tech NG. Perform wireless traffic analysis. As a professional ethical hacker or pen tester, your next step in hacking wireless networks is to capture and analyze the traffic of the target wireless network. This wireless traffic analysis will help you to determine the weaknesses and vulnerability devices in the target network. In the process, you will determine the network's broadcasted SSID, the presence of multiple access points, the possibility of recovering SSIDs, the authentication method used, the wireless something network, encryption algorithms, etc. The labs in this exercise demonstrate how to use various tools and techniques to capture and analyze the traffic of the target wireless network. Lab objectives: Wi-Fi packet analysis using Wireshark. Wireshark is very common for cybersecurity. They expect you to know what it is and how to use it. In interviews, if you say, hey, I've used Wireshark before, it's always a good thing. Wireless traffic analysis helps in determining the appropriate strategy for a successful attack. Wi-Fi protocols are unique at layer 2, and traffic over the air is not serialized, which makes it easy to sniff and analyze wireless packets. You can use various Wi-Fi packet sniffing tools to capture and analyze the traffic of a target wireless network. So we're going to use Wi-Fi packet analysis using Wireshark. Wireshark is a network protocol sniffer and analyzer. It lets you capture and interactively browse the traffic running on a target network. Wireshark can read live data from Ethernet, token ring, FDDI, serial, PPP, and SLIP, and 802.111 wireless LAN. NPCAP is a library that is integrated with Wireshark for complete wireless network traffic analysis, visualization, drill down, and reporting. Wireshark can be used in monitor mode to capture wireless traffic. It is able to capture a vast number of management, control, data frames, etc., and further analyze the radio tap header fields to gather critical information such as protocols, encryption techniques used, length of the frames, MAC addresses, etc. Here we will use Wireshark to analyze captured Wi-Fi packets. In order to capture wireless traffic, a wireless adapter is required, and using an adapter in the iLabs environment is not possible. Therefore, in this lab, we are using a sample capture file, WEP crack tech01.cap, to analyze wireless packets. So here we go. We're going in here. Alternatively, put in the password, which is a horrible password. You guys should rethink your lives if you have a password like that. Maybe you should change it too. Well, you're rethinking your life. Alright, yes. Wireshark. Alright. In the menu bar, I'm going to click File, Open, Option. What do they want me to open? D drive. Okay, CDH tools, module 16, sample captures. Okay, .cap. Yeah, that's that one. All right, so we're going to open that. The WEP crack tech01.cap file opens in Wireshark window showing you the details of the packet for analysis. Here you can see the wireless packets captured, which were otherwise masked to look like Ethernet traffic. Here, 802.11 protocol indicates wireless packets you can access. The save packet capture file anytime by issuing packet filtering commands in the filter field. You can narrow down the packet search and attempt to find packets containing sensible information. In real time, attackers enforce packet capture and packet filtering techniques to capture packets containing passwords only for websites implemented on HTTP channel. And that's why we keep telling you guys, don't use the HTTP, use HTTPS. It's more secure. So you can literally see people's passwords on HTTP sites with Wireshark. All right. In real time, blah, 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 perform attacks such as session hijacking and so on. Similarly, you can also analyze the WPA2 crack file. Let's see, file open. WPA2 crack. That one. There's my captured packet. This concludes the demonstration of how to analyze Wi-Fi packets using Wireshark. Close all open windows, documentation, blah, blah, blah. All right, perform wireless attacks. As an expert ethical hacker or pen tester, you must have the required knowledge to perform wireless attacks in order to test the target's network's security infrastructure. After performing the discovery, mapping, and analysis of the target wireless network, you have gathered enough information to launch an attack. You should now carry out various types of attacks on the target network, including Wi-Fi encryption cracking, WEP, WPA, and WPA2, fragmentation, MAC spoofing, denial of service, and ARP poisoning attacks. WEP encryption is used for wireless networks, but it has several exploitable vulnerabilities when seeking to protect a wireless network. The first step is to always change your SSID from the default before you actually connect the wireless router to the access point. Moreover, if an SSID broadcast is not disabled on an access point, ensure that you do not use a DHCP server, which would automatically assign IP addresses to wireless clients. This is because war driving tools can easily detect your internal IP address, Internet Protocol address. This is actually a good point. They bring up war driving. War driving is basically somebody going around with an antenna and their own computer, and they're looking for these different points they can access your routers and all that stuff. So if you see somebody driving around with an antenna and a laptop, it's probably war driving. As an ethical hacker and pen tester of an organization, you must test its wireless security, exploit WEP flaws, and crack the network's access point security keys. Labs in this exercise demonstrate how to perform wireless attacks using various hacking tools and techniques. Crack a WEP network using AirCrack Tech NG. Crack a WPA2 network using AirCrack Tech NG. Overview of wireless attacks. There are several different types of Wi-Fi attacks that attackers use to eavesdrop on wireless network connections in order to maintain sensitive information, such as passwords, banking credentials, and medical records, as well as to spread malware. These include fragmentation attack. When successful, such attacks can obtain 1,500 bytes of PRGA, which is pseudo-random generation algorithm. MAC spoofing attack. The attacker changes their MAC address to that of an authenticated user in order to bypass the access point's MAC filtering configuration. Disassociation attack. The attacker makes the victim unavailable to other wireless devices by destroying the connectivity between the access point and client. That one is, I've heard, has been used for very, very loud neighbors who blast their music at 3 in the morning. Not saying it's right, but it's been done. Deauthentication attack. The attacker floods stations with forged deauthentication packets to disconnect users from an access point. Man-in-the-middle attack, an active internet attack in which the attacker attempts to intercept, read, or alter information between two computers. Wireless ARP poisoning attack, an attack technique that exploits the lack of a verification mechanism in the ARP protocol by corrupting the ARP cache maintained by the operating system in order to associate the attacker's MAC address with the target host. Rogue access points, wireless access points that an attacker installs on a network without authorization and that are not under the management of the network administrator. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Evil twin, a fraudulent wireless access point that pretends to be a legitimate access point by imitating another network name. Yeah, no, that's legit. Wi-jacking attack is a method used by attackers to gain access to an enormous number of wireless networks. Crack a WEP network using AirCrack Tech NG. AirCrack Tech NG is a network software suite consisting of a detector, packet sniffer, WEP and WPA, WPA2, PSK cracker, and analysis tool for 802.11 wireless networks. The program runs on both Linux and Windows. In this task, we will use the AirCrack Tech NG suite to crack the WEP encryption of a network in order to capture wireless traffic. A wireless adapter is required, and using an adapter in the iLabs environment is not possible. Therefore, in this lab, we are using a sample capture file to crack WEP keys. So, oh yeah, I'm trying to remember this stuff. I remember that there is the wireless adapter. I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head. If you guys want to know, I can go ask my contact to refresh my memory because I totally forgot what he had. He showed me. It's on Amazon last time I checked. Let's see. In order to capture, so we got that part. We're going to parrot security. Add password. Module 16. There's my work lists. Work lists. Oh, it wants me to. Oh. All right, we're going to copy to navigate to the desktop. So let's go to desktop. Remember, in Linux, it is case sensitive, so just be careful. You could type it in correctly, and then it's not going to run. So let's see. That should work. Oh no! What did I do wrong? Let me see if I can see it here. Home attacker. There is a space. TPs, that's why. Okay. I think I know why now. There we go. No, not that one. There we go. Oh, there's a space. I've got it. Should work. Look at that. Hey, look, I found a key. By issuing the above command, Aircrack Tech NG will crack the WP key of the CEH Labs as shown on the screenshot. In real life, attackers will use the key to connect to the access point and join the target network. Once they enter the target network, they can use scanning tools to scan for open devices, perform a vulnerability analysis, and then start exploiting any vulnerabilities they find. All right. So they want me to crack a WPA2 network using Aircrack Tech NG. WPA2 is an upgrade to WPA. It includes mandatory support for counter mode with cipher block chaining, messaging, authentication code protocol, CCNP, and AES-based encryption protocol with strong security. WPA2 has two modes of operation, WPA2 Personal and WPA2 Enterprise. Despite being stronger than both WEP and WPA, the WPA2 encryption method can also be cracked using various techniques and tools. In this task, we'll use the Aircrack Tech NG suite to crack a WPA2 network. Before starting this task, you need to configure your access point router CEH Labs to work in WPA2 PSK. Appreciate your key encryption mode. To do so, navigate to the router's default IP address and change the authentication mode from WPA to WPA2 PSK with password as password 1. In order to capture wireless traffic, wireless adapter is required, and using an adapter in the iLabs environment is not possible. Therefore, in this lab, we will use a sample capture packet file. Ensure that sample captures and word list folders are present at the location home attacker desktop. Yep. Terminal. Yep. So now what we're going to do, aircrack NG A2 tech B. Oh, here the BSS ID of the target is 2005 to a E4 8 K tech W slash home slash attacker slash desktop slash word list slash password xt. Four hundred 53 of 480 keys tested. Holy cow. All right. So Tech A is the technique used to crack the handshake. 2 is WPA technique. Tech B refers to BSSID. Replace BSSID of the target router. Tech W stands for word list. Provide the path to a word list. The result appears showing the WPA handshake packet captured with arrow dump tech NG. The target access point's keyword is cracked and displayed in plain text to the message key found. Password 1. If the password is complex, aircrack tech NG will take a long time to crack it. Okay, and that's not considered complex. Complex would be 14 characters or more. So this concludes the demonstration of how to crack a WPA2 network using aircrack tech NG. Okay, we got that done really quick. How is it incomplete? Even when I finish it, it's incomplete. I don't get it. It's mind-boggling, man. Incomplete. All right, I'm gonna just run to the restroom real quick. I'll be right back, guys. Popcornopolis, man. Make some really good zebra popcorn. Holy cow. It's like chocolate and white chocolate covered caramel popcorn. Not a sponsor. I feel like I have to add that with everything I like, love, or talk about. Raising Cane's, not a sponsor. But it's so good. Are you kidding me? I did that. Oh! Okay. Well, I don't know what to do with you. I have finished your random queries. This website's broken. Hello. Are you guys having fun yet? You learning a lot? You learning nothing? Well, since I'm waiting on this, why don't I talk to you guys about... Here we go. Yeah, let's do this. So since we're waiting on this thing to load, on my channel, right now... Whoa. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. I'm making it right now. So a couple things I would like to invite you guys. If you want, you can provide donations. There's a donation link. There is also a Red Giant store, which I'm pretty happy about. There's my channel on YouTube, which some of these videos will go onto YouTube. I have my wife's Twitch and then my wife's YouTube. I just put those links there. You click on them, they work. And then you can see all the products we have to offer to you guys. I personally like the white more. I like that kind of setup. That's good. But yeah, I try to give you guys a bunch of options. The ladies' shirt surprisingly does show on the phone application, but it doesn't show on the normal web browser application. I'm not entirely sure why that is occurring. But you know what's funny is I'm looking at the video right now from my other laptop. It shows, but on my specific laptop, it does not show. I'm wondering if the contrast is too crazy. But yeah, so I click on it. Let me see this. Yeah, it shows. Cool. But yeah, if you guys want to support the channel, it would be greatly appreciated. Those are the options. Those are the ways. Let's see. Ooh. So now that I've done that, let's see if this is done. What's this running? All right, so go through here. Hit this. Go through here. Click all of these. Make sure all of these are highlighted so that it'll stop asking me these silly questions. Next. Did all that. Make sure everything is selected. I see all green. Yes. Close. All right, I'm going to go up here. Let's go to my training. Let's try and refresh the page completely. Haha! All right, so we're going to hack mobile platforms now. Your phone, your tablet. Let's see what we got. Oh, right, another load screen. It's time for stretching. Yeah. Bet you guys didn't see that coming. Oh. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Feels pretty dang good to stretch, guys. If you want, you can stand up with me, do some stretching. While we're waiting for this lab. Oh, yeah. That feels pretty good. Oh, yeah. All right. So we did finish the structured query language injection. We are moving on to, well, we also did hacking Wi-Fi wireless networks. We are going into hacking mobile platforms now. So your phone, your tablet. Let's see. So with the advancement of mobile technology, mobility has become a key feature of internet usage. People's lifestyles are becoming increasingly reliant on smartphones and tablets. Shocker. Mobile devices are replacing desktops and laptops as they enable users to access email, the internet, and GPS navigation, and to store critical data such as contact lists, passwords, calendars, and login credentials. In addition, recent developments in mobile commerce have enabled users to perform transactions on their smartphones, such as purchasing goods and applications over wireless networks, redeeming coupons and tickets, and banking. So this was not the original intention for the internet. And that's actually why they didn't have that type of security in HTTP. That's why we tell you guys not to use HTTP, right? Because there is some vulnerability in HTTP, and you can give away banking account information, usernames, passwords, all kinds of stuff. So that's why we always say if you're looking at something, make sure it says HTTPS right here. Yeah, that. It has to say that to feel safe. And I don't know for how long that's going to last. Like, how long is it going to take for somebody to start cracking HTTPS ports, and then we're going to have to. It's just like the Dark Knight, where Commissioner Gordon says, we make Kevlar vests, they make armor-piercing rounds. So hacking is seriously just kind of like a cat and mouse game between the good guys, the bad guys, and how they're going to, use the information or find ways around certain systems. So I don't really know how long it's going to take the hackers to figure it out, but I'm sure there's going to be a new format that's going to change someday. So most, let's see, what are we talking about here? Most mobile devices come with options to send and receive text or email messages, as well as download applications via the internet. Although these functions are technological advances, hackers continue to use them for malicious purposes. For example, they may send malformed application package files or URLs to individuals to entice victims to click on or even install them. They actually do this a lot with Android-based Play Store applications. You gotta be really careful about what you're downloading on the Play Store. You might think you're getting a free game, and then all of a sudden, it's stealing files from phone and sending it to some undisclosed location. So certain things to just kind of take into account. If you don't have some type of antivirus, something, I would recommend you get something. So what I use right now, and it was recommended to me by cybersecurity people, is Lookout. Again, not sponsored by these guys. I've used them a couple weeks because I just was like, hey, what's the better antivirus kind of security measure to put on my phone? And it's constantly scanning my apps. It gives me notifications about if there's an issue. There's some other really cool features, like if you put a little more money into it. It is initially free. You don't have to pay anything. Another one that was recommended was Malwarebytes. That is another one that comes highly recommended. But it goes through and it scans and it says, hey, all your apps, they're safe. Like there's no kinds of weird problems, issues. Yeah, it's really, really informative too. Like it's in a nice, I like Lookout. It's in a nice little display. Malwarebytes is also free. You guys don't have to pay anything to download it. I'm sure there's some kind of like additional aspects to add to it to make it a little bit more secure. But that's up to you guys, right? It's your phone. But I would highly recommend that you have some type of form of protection on your phone. Okay, your phone is a computer now. So let's see. Most mobile devices, most mobile security is becoming more challenging with the emergence of complex attacks that utilize multiple attack vectors to compromise mobile devices. These security threats can lead to critical data, money, and other information being stolen from mobile users, and may also damage the reputation of mobile networks and organizations. The belief that surfing the internet on mobile devices is safe causes many users to not enable their device's security software. Popularity of smartphones and their moderately lax security have made them attractive and more valuable targets to attackers. So anything that is being used by a lot of people, hackers are going to want to understand how they operate, and then they're going to find ways to exploit them. That's why Windows, Microsoft, is constantly being hacked. That's why their systems are constantly being hacked, is because they're used by businesses. So hackers want to make money. Hackers obviously want to make money off of people who are using Androids and iPhones, and like, you got to think about what does the majority of people have, and that's what a hacker is going to go after. They're going to go after the majority. That's why they specifically target certain operating systems, certain types of phones, because they know that there's a higher chance of people to do something rash with their phone. Okay, so, or their whatever it is. So as an expert ethical hacker or penetration tester, you should first test the mobile platform used by your organization for various vulnerabilities. Then, using the information, you should secure it from possible attacks. In this lab, you'll obtain hands-on experience with various techniques of launching attacks on mobile platforms, which will help you to audit their security. Objective. The objective of the lab is to carry out mobile platform hacking and other tasks that include, but are not limited to, exploit the vulnerabilities in an Android device, obtain user credentials, hack Android device with a malicious application, use an Android device to launch a denial of service attack on a target, exploit an Android device through ADB, perform a security assessment on an Android device. Overview of hacking mobile platforms. At present, smartphones are widely used for both business and personal purposes. Thus, they are a treasure trove for attackers looking to steal corporate or personal data. Security threats to mobile devices have increased with growth of internet connectivity, use of business and other applications, various methods of communication available, etc. Apart from certain security threats that are specific to them, mobile devices are also susceptible to many other threats that are applicable to desktop and laptop computers web applications, and networks. Nowadays, smartphones offer broad internet network connectivity via varying channels such as 3G, 4G, 5G, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or wired computer connections. Security threats may arise while transmitting data at different points along these various paths. Lab tasks. Ethical hackers or penetration testers use numerous tools and techniques to target mobile devices. The recommended labs that will assist you in learning various mobile attack techniques include hack Android devices. Hack an Android device by creating binary payloads using Parrot security. Harvest user credentials using the social engineer toolkit. Launch a denial of service attack on a target machine using low orbital cannon. Oh, dude, that thing is nasty. On the Android mobile platform, exploit the Android platform through ADB using phone exploit. Secure Android devices using various Android security tools. Analyze a malicious app using online Android analyzers. Analyze a malicious app using QuickSee vulnerability scanner. Secure Android devices from malicious apps using Malwarebytes security. Okay, so in this lab, they are recommending Malwarebytes. Didn't know that. That's cool. Hack Android devices. Lab scenario. The number of people using smartphones and tablets is on the rise as these devices support a wide range of functionalities. Android is the most popular mobile OS operating system because it is a platform open to all applications. Like other operating systems, Android has its vulnerabilities, and not all Android users install patches to keep operating system software and apps up to date and secure. So are you guys updating your phone apps? If you want, put in the comment, if you want to. It's up to you guys. But I'm just saying, like these are things to think about. Are you updating it? Do you have some type of security features on your phone right now? Like those are things that you should think about because you're setting yourself up for failure if you don't. All right. So this casualness enables attackers to exploit vulnerabilities and launch various types of attacks to steal valuable data stored on the victim's device. Don't make yourself a victim. Do your due diligence and get this stuff updated, all right? It's secured. Owing to the extensive usage and implementation of bring your own device policies in organizations, mobile devices have become a prime target for attacks. Attackers scan these devices for vulnerabilities. These attacks can involve the device and the network layer, the data center, or a combination of these. As a professional ethical hacker or pen tester, you should be familiar with all the hacking tools, exploits, and payloads to perform various tests, mobile devices connected to a network to assess its security infrastructure. In this lab, we will use various tools and techniques to hack the target mobile device. Lab objectives. Hack an Android device by creating binary payloads using Parrot security. Harvest user credentials using the social engineer toolkit. Launch a denial of service attack on a target machine using low orbital cannon on the Android mobile platform. Exploit the Android platform using ADB using phone exploit. Overview of hacking Android platforms. Android is a software environment developed by Google for mobile devices. I have mad respect for them. I love it. It's fantastic. I enjoy it. It includes an operating system, a middleware, and key applications. It's Linux-based operating system. Again, Linux, amazing. Love it. The best. Operating system is designed especially for portable devices such as smartphones and tablets. Android has a stack of software components categorized into 6 sections. You've got system apps, Java AP framework, native C, C++ libraries, Android runtime, hardware abstraction layer, HAL, and Linux kernel in 5 layers. Owing to the increase in the number of users with Android devices, they've become the primary targets for hackers. Makes sense. Attackers use various Android hacking tools to discover vulnerabilities in the platform and then exploit them to carry out attacks such as denial of service, man in the disk, and spear phone attacks. Task 1. Hack an Android device by creating binary payloads using Parrot security. Attackers use various tools such as Metasploit to create binary payloads, which are sent to the target system to gain control over it. The Metasploit framework is a Ruby-based modular penetration testing platform that enables you to write, test, and execute exploit code. It contains a suite of tools that you can use to test security, evade detection, to test security vulnerabilities, enumerate networks, execute attacks, and evade detection. Meterpreter is a Metasploit attack payload that provides an interactive shell that can be used to explore target machines and execute code. In this task, we will use Metasploit to create a binary payload in Parrot security to hack an Android device. All right, so we're going to Parrot security, putting in a bad password. Yeah, if you guys have passwords like this, just do a different password. Okay. Oh, I forgot to hit start. Sorry. Start. What's up?
I just got off work.
Good job, babe. High five. You're on candid camera right now.
That's fine. She didn't ask me anything about SQL.
So then I guess the next person would be the one asking about it.
Maybe. I don't know. But what's so funny is, so Camille told me he was data analyst, and then Nicole today says data coordinator. And I can't find either one on LinkedIn anymore because the hiring manager took both of them down. And I was like, I don't know what I'm applying for. I'll take both.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
so,
It sounds like they're using both of those terms freely.
like, so they're two completely different things.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I would use programming for both, but one of them is extracting data and analyzing it. The other one is organizing it. And I told her that, like, because I think data coordinator is more entry level versus the data analyst, which is more competitive. And so I was telling her I'd be okay with this data coordinator, and they both pay the same, I think. But I was telling her that, like, I'd be data coordinator because, like, I'm really good at, like, organizing. So
The data aspects, organizing files or organizing.
no. So basically, what I'm doing is I'll be looking like at all the information that they have, and right now, because like I guess their sales stuff is like brand new, like it's 2 years old, right? So it's pretty new for a big company, and they are behind, I think, by like 4 or 5 months as far as like stuff they need to like have up to date. And so I'd be going through and ticketing everything, and basically taking the data, sending them into the right departments. And making it visually organized as well.
Cool.
But then she's like, yeah, once you're done with that, she's like, then we can go ahead and do actual big projects and get into teaching you everything else. And I was like, how long do you think the organization can take? She's like, my guess is probably like 4 or 5 months. And I said, okay, that's fine. I'm not for my parents, so my mom and I actually had it done today.
Good job, babe. Good job.
Love you, babe.
Oh, thanks. Ooh, yes, I got the scratchies. Yes.
Where are my kisses?
There you go. Mwah.
Thanks, babe.
There you go. You got kisses. Love you, babe.
Love you, babe.
Bye, babe. Let's see what we got. Press enter. Okay, this command creates an APK backdoor.apk on desktop under the root directory. In this case, 10.10.10.13 is the IP address of the Parrot security machine. Now send the backdoor.apk file to the victim machine. In this lab, we're using the Android emulator as the victim machine. In this task, we are sending the malicious payload through a shared directory, but in real-life cases, attackers may send it via an attachment in an email, over Bluetooth, or through some other application or means. Execute the below commands to create a share folder. If the share folder is not present, navigate to All right. Okay, chmod. So we just created the share folder. Chmod r space. All right. Now we're going to copy that. Remember, case sensitive is what Linux is. So you got to be careful with your cases, your spaces, everything. It shows no mercy. It will let you know when you tell it to do something it does not understand. All right, let's try this. All right. Gonna wait while Metasploit loads to boldly go where no shell has gone before. All right, use exploit /multi/handler. Right, we're now there. Now issue the following commands in MSF console. Okay, we got to set our LSRL host. 1.3. Type show options. So we're listening to port 4444. Okay. Okay. Exploit tech J tech Z. So this is the Android machine. Oh no, it's responsive. All right, so we need to go down to the Chrome. The address bar. There's the file we created earlier. All right, so right now we're waiting on the app to install. Download is complete. Install. Oh. I just killed my hypervisor. Alright, let me see if I can go back here. So it does say that there was a session. Alright, let's type session here. I1. Oh wait, sessions. Okay. Alright. It's an Android 9 operating system, Linux. Let's see what we got. So we've got their IPv6 address. I mean, that's not really their hardware MAC address, is it? Let's see what we got. Oh, there it is. There's their IPv4 address. There's their MAC address right there. Okay. Okay. The list of running processes might differ in your lab environment because of poor security settings and a lack of awareness. If an individual in an organization installs a backdoor file on a device, the attacker gains control of the device. The attacker can then perform malicious activities such as uploading worms, downloading data, and spying on the user's keystrokes, which can reveal sensitive information related to the organization as well as the victim. Alright, so we're going to go to the Android. Gotta get to the home screen. If I hit one of these buttons. No. Yeah, that's not quite working like I wanted it to. Let me just hit cancel. It's gonna work. Ugh. I'm not gonna do all that. Okay. I'm gonna run to the restroom real quick, guys, and I'll be right back. All right. Oh, so guys, we're getting kind of close to that time. I'm gonna call it now. So next, what we're gonna do is harvest users' credentials using the Social Engineer Toolkit. So I'm just gonna save where I'm at right now. And again, guys, if you would like to support my channel, we do have Feed the Flames, a donation page. You should be able to click on, take you to the donation page site. Also, if you don't feel like donating, that's fine. We have a Jolly Red Giant store where you can have your merchandise. I kind of like the white t-shirts more. That's just me. I do like this one too. That's mine. I'm probably gonna get that one pretty soon, and maybe a mug. I'm not too sure. I kind of like a tumbler. Maybe I should ask them for a tumbler with that on there. That'd be cool. But anyways, yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that if you did want to support the site, this would help. Also, if you guys want to learn more, or if you want to rewatch these videos, I'm doing a restream.io, and so basically you can go to this YouTube site, and here I am, and I've got all the other different Certmaster stuff that we've been doing, Certified Ethical Hacker, Security Plus, and I'm doing it for the purpose of studying myself so that I can go back and review it. But it's also there for you guys. If you guys want to use it to understand this stuff better, you can use that site as well. So if you guys have any questions or anything, please feel free to also contact me. I have a suggestion box that's right next to the donation page if you have suggestions that you'd like to add, things you'd like to see. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and just be safe. All right. And bye.